This week on NHRA Today, it's time to look back on a season of thrills in Top Fuel. We'll see the champ unwind at home in Wichita Falls. We'll meet legendary crew chief Dick LaHaie. And the Fry Guy bestows the Bobby Awards for Top Fuel. From the Embassy Suites Hotel in Covina, California, these stories and more on this edition of NHRA Today. Winning the Winston Top Fuel title is the ultimate dream of every drag racer. But for 1993 champion Eddie Hill, it was a quest. The thrill first set out on his mission back in the early 60s, manhandling a twin-engine Terror. And after a record-setting diversion into the world of drag boats, he returned to Top Fuel in the mid-80s. What followed were moments of happiness mixed with heartbreak that would have shaken the faith of a lesser man. Until at the age of 57, when most people are contemplating retirement, Eddie was conquering racetracks to become the oldest Top Fuel champion in history. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of NHRA Today. I'm Steve Evans, and I may be with the two happiest people on the planet since winning the Winston Top Fuel Championship for '93, Eddie and Ercie Hill. Will you two quit grinning?
Not for a while. I think we can.
Feel as good as you imagined it might if you ever won it?
It really does. It really feels great. It's just now beginning to soak in a meaningful way, and it feels great.
You know, when you quit boat racing after a lot of crashes and setting the world record, you came back into drag racing, you had to reteach yourself the sport.
Oh, absolutely. The boat racing that we had done actually messed us up for the asphalt racing because everything was so different that a lot of things we thought we had learned on the water just absolutely did not apply on the asphalt. So we had to unlearn some bad things.
Was it a commitment to each other and to racing that carried you through those lean days and years?
Well, of course, we've got a strong commitment to each other, obviously, whatever we do. And we wanted to drag race. I mean, I've always wanted to do that. And I have never been able to get over the desire to do that. And I never seriously considered hanging it up at all.
And you always kept the faith, Ercie? Be honest.
Well, I always had faith. In fact, sometimes I think I had more faith in him than he had in himself. And Fuzzy has been a big influence on us, too.
Crew Chief Fuzzy Carter.
He's just a never-say-die kind of guy, and his wife, Jan, is the same way. They've been with us now for 11 years, and they've been part of the backbone of this team, too.
Pomona, the first race of the season, you qualified really well, number 2, and then first round, not so good.
No, smoked the tires, just like we did a number of times during the year. That really plagued us all year, our biggest problem.
Yeah, but Phoenix, now, that was a high point.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, it was great to win in the second race, and we were doing good in the points by then, so it was looking like it was going to start going our way. We were very pleased after Phoenix.
All right, on to the state of Texas. A big welcome from the fans. Houston Raceway Park, tell us about it.
Well, we had a little birthday get-together with about 20,000 of our closest friends, and the biggest birthday cake in the world, I guess.
It was huge.
Huge cake, and a giant card that's got thousands of signatures on it. And believe it or not, that whole deal was a surprise. Until I saw it. I don't know how they kept that a secret.
All right, now that was in the pits. What about the racetrack?
Well, at the racetrack, we didn't do all that well out there.
I think that was the first round.
I think that was another first round.
Well, they think a lot of you folks down in Gainesville, Florida way, too, you know.
Yeah, I think we'd have a good chance of winning mayor down there in Gainesville. It's always been great for us down there.
And that was the debut of the new nuclear banana.
Yeah, the brand new car. It was a tough decision to put that new car into service down there. We had just won Phoenix with our other car, our original first in the Forest car, and it wasn't doing anything wrong, except it had 542 runs on it, and it was 5 years old and probably the most repaired car out there. The fact that we won the final there with a little hole shot with a slightly worse AT was good for the old ego. I enjoyed that.
All right, now let's talk about the Winston Invitational in Rockingham.
I don't remember going there.
I don't think we went.
Nobody else remembered. You didn't qualify.
Oh, that's why we don't
We
remember
deleted
that.
it from the memory bank.
Something happened at Atlanta when you won that had never happened to you before.
Well, it'd been a long time since it happened. We moved to number 1 in points, and that's the first time in 5 years that we'd held a lead in the NHRA point standings. and boy, that felt good.
At this point, could you really afford to run the best equipment? I mean, at one time you were running used tires and whatever you could get your hands on.
Well, something happened when we won Phoenix. Dale Rush with Pennzoil came to me at the end of that race and says, go ahead and spend the money it takes to put fresh tires on there and fresh blowers, and don't run the parts till they break.
Well, Ercie, when you lose that kind of financial pressure, you race better.
Absolutely. We had run most of our parts past their normal service life because we were on a rather restricted budget. And when it came down to the point where we could change the clutch pack every round, where we didn't have to run the blower belts too long, I mean, the performance just came right on up.
I think what I remember most about Memphis was round number 2, you faced off with Scott Coletta, who was the number 1 qualifier, the bad guy.
Absolutely. We were lucky enough to lay a 482 on them, and it really hurt those guys' feelings. And that was later on to be important with the point swing.
Well, speaking of Scott Coletta, as we have been, few teams have had a more positive turnaround in '93 than Scott's, and everybody gives the credit to Dick LaHaie, the crew chief. Here's Dave McClellan with an up-close look at Dick.
My interest in going fast has been there since, I guess, the day I was born.
Some are born with the need for speed, but for others, like '93 Winston Top Fuel runner-up Scott Coletta, it's an acquired talent. Scott has enlisted the help of 1987 champion Dick LaHaie, and if 1993 is any indication, this combination of teacher and student is on its way to the head of the class fast.
Scott's doing an excellent job driving, and it seems like the more he drives, the better he gets at it. And I would like to make Scott the world champion, if possible.
If anyone can help beam Scotty up, it's LaHaie. Drawing from his years as a driver in the Top Fuel Wars, Dick has seen the highs and lows.
It was probably the ultimate year in 1987. We won 5 national events and was runner-up at 2 other ones. We won the Winston All-Stars race, won the World Championship. You couldn't write a better script for a season. I mean, it was very, very fulfilling. In 1991, in the second round at the U.S. Nationals, we had an oil leak. The first time ever in competition that I had to be shut off on the starting line. That was probably one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. And the second hardest was about 10 days later when we decided to pull the plug on it and that I wouldn't race for the remainder of the season. And it ate at me a lot. It was real tough. I mean, I didn't even want to go to a drag race. I didn't want to hear about drag racing.
Dick finds comfort with his wife Claudia on their farm outside Lansing, Michigan.
When Claudia and I was married in '87, we decided just to sell off everything we had and go buy a place of our own. And so we moved outside the city about 4 or 5 miles and bought a little 40-acre farm. We bought it for it being quiet and just kind of peaceful out here, and we can do what we want to do. And after all the years of drag racing, I guess I'm kind of revolving back to the hot rods and the street rods. We've got a 46 Ford business coupe, then I have a 50 Ford pickup. As far as the 46, the little yellow coupe goes, that's basically Claudia's car. Just about every night there's some place to go. If we have time and I'm not off doing something with the race team and so forth, we're in our street rods going someplace. They're a lot like the drag racing family.
But as Scott Coletta's father, Connie, told Steve Evans just a few weeks ago, sometimes the drag racing family puts father against son for a championship.
Connie, it'll be terrific to have you back.
Yes, we're really looking forward to next year. I think we're going to have an awesome group together.
So the man who tuned Scott Coletta to a record-shattering 308 miles an hour in '93 will be on the side of the son in next year's Coletta Family Feud.
Conrad and I have raced against each other numerous times, and normally it's very good races.
Special guy, Dick LaHaie. Eddie, we went from New Jersey to Columbus. You got beat in the semifinals, and then something truly bizarre happened.
Really did. We had just hooked up to the car. Kenny had advanced. We let him go around us, and just after Kenny went around us, Gordon Minio's funny car was making the turn in pretty good shape, and then all of a sudden, the engine roared back to life and banged into our van, knocked it off a little embankment down the hill there, and the tow strap was hooked up to our race car, and Baby Cakes was sitting in it, and it jerked her up under, her in the car, up under Gordon's funny car. And so there were several cars involved, and of course hurt Fuzzy and hurt Lonnie.
But the guys recovered. They were at the next race working hard again.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Scott Coletta was the #1 qualifier, and you faced off in the final round.
Yeah, we did. Scott was unlucky enough to red light in the final, and that gave us a nice lead in the points.
Castrol presents the GTX Pipeline, the latest news from the world of drag racing.
4 years at the top are enough for top alcohol dragster driver Blaine Johnson, who's trading fuels in search of new challenges. After his first-round loss in Pomona, he announced that he'll compete in the top fuel class when the new season begins.
We're definitely up for the challenge. It's going to be really interesting. We don't really know what to expect yet because we haven't had any real experience in top fuel racing, but we're going to give it our best shot. That's all we can do.
You're watching Sky Sports.
Welcome back to NHRA Today and our chat with Eddie and Ercie Hill. When you went to Denver this year, you had to be living in dread of Denver the year before. You killed everything you own.
Yeah, we did, and hurt the car really, really bad to it. But when we went there this time, we experimented with a high-altitude horsepower combination, different camshaft, different fuel pump, and it worked just like gangbusters up there. We didn't squeeze a rod bearing all weekend. The car ran great.
Now, you took that to sea level the very next weekend in Sonoma and slayed them.
We did. We still ran that high-altitude combination. Wanted to try it at sea level, and we had a lot of power. The atmospheric conditions, as you remember, were brutal. It was so hot, but we made good power. And I thought we looked better probably in Sonoma than we did anywhere all year.
So what the heck happened in Seattle? Same good air.
Well, we had too much power up there, and we just never could figure out how to get a hold of it with the clutch. We kept smoking the tires. Just a bad weekend, another first-round loss for me.
Well, you calmed down the combination heading to Brainerd. But Brainerd, you were jet set Hill.
Yeah, we had to fly back and forth to Indy to run that Fastmasters tournament, and that was it was very exciting, a lot of fun, but we had a lot going on that weekend.
And back at Brainerd, there was a gang watching it off the satellite, hooting and hollering, and then you came back on Sunday and won the race.
Yeah, we did. What a weekend.
On to Indianapolis. Oh, you wanted it so bad.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we really did. What can I say? What a good
first
weekend.
Round, yeah. We all felt bad, went back to the trailer, analyzed the situation, found out why we smoked the tires, and instead of feeling bad, we went out and talked to the crowd, and they boosted us right back up. They always make us feel great.
All right, from Indy, you go to Reading, Pennsylvania, and 2 blondes in your life was one too many. Shelley Henderson got to you. But you made it to the semis, and your 2 closest pursuers in the points went out before you did, so it was still okay.
Yeah, it extended the points lead, just exactly what we wanted.
All right, I'm not going to bring up Topeka because with your convenient memories, you've forgotten it anyway.
Yeah, we go to Topeka.
But what about the tension in Texas?
Oh, man, the tension built and built and built, and seemed like most of it was building right in my chest.
That pesky little Coletta, he just wouldn't lose early enough.
Boy, he was hammering us. You know, every round he went, you know, while we were sitting up in the tower watching that deal. What a strain, what
The longest
stress.
6 months I ever spent in one day.
I get the feeling Mike Dunn might get a Christmas card this year from the Hills.
You may get a Christmas present.
Well, after clinching in Dallas, we sent a crew to Wichita Falls, Texas, with the happy couple to see just what their routine was like.
Dallas erupted in thunderstorms and tornadoes the night Eddie Hill clinched the Top Fuel Championship. But for him, the storm's significance was spiritual.
I told my boss that that's the way I felt.
The next day, a few hours away, Eddie and Ercie unwind from the whirlwind at home in Wichita Falls. Those rushing waters could drown out the full-throttle thunder of Top Fuel, but you can't even hear them from their home atop, what else? A hill. This is their private retreat, and if you get close enough to read the signs in the windows, the presence of pet python Snaky is enough to discourage uninvited guests. Of course, you first got to get past Nitro, Rambo, and Hot Dog.
Sit up pretty. Good boys. My circus act. Gonna take them on the road.
He's front page news in the morning paper, yet this is as excited as he gets.
Looks good.
Down the hall in their office, Ercie is busy answering fan mail and faxes congratulating the champ. But that doesn't impress their cat, Monkey Bat, or the dachshund Hot Dog, who's asleep at Ercie's feet. Back in the living room, Eddie indulges in one of his little-known loves, the kind of music you wouldn't think a guy in such a noisy business would enjoy. It's just one of the many eccentricities you accept from a fella his age, like his inclination to climb up on the roof in the middle of the night.
Sometimes on a real nice night, I like to look at the stars through the binoculars or whatever and Sometimes Hot Dog comes up with me and lays on my belly while I gaze at the stars in my underwear on the roof. If the neighbors were up and looking, they'd probably think I was weird, but it's pretty nice up here.
If the thought of this Lone Star boy stargazing alone in his underwear makes you think he's got a screw loose, think again. The man's an engineer by education, and his idea of recreational reading is to curl up with a good technical paper from the Society of Automotive Engineers.
The effect of atomization of fuel injectors on engine performance. Can't think of any kid wouldn't want to bone up on that. Contribution of optimum design for nozzle configuration to spray formation. And my all-time favorite, development of pistons with variable compression height for increasing efficiency and specific power output of combustion engines. We all got a big kick out of that one. It's still working. That's going to put everything.
Eddie's big thrill this afternoon is playing with his computer to look at the blueprints for his next dragster.
Well, Mr. Hill, what flavor would you like to have your car today? Would you like one like this?
Looks like a winner to me.
Yeah.
And now Red Wing Shoes wants to take a moment to tell you who's hot in the world of drag racing. The Winston Finals in Pomona were an emotional occasion for top fuel driver Ed the Ace McCullough because it was his last race at the wheel of the McDonald's entry for Larry Minor Motorsports. After losing in the first round to eventual winner Rance McDaniel, the finality of the occasion really hit home.
Well, we'll have to see what happens, Steve. I don't know where we're going from here.
We just wish you the best.
Thank you.
Though he lost to McDaniel, was dropped by McDonald's, and replaced by McClenathan, Ed is still aces in our book, a classy competitor.
Okay, Eddie, Ercie, the conquering heroes, champions already come to Pomona, and the crowd went wild for you.
Oh, they absolutely did. That just felt so good. I mean, the people just made us feel so great.
Your popularity doesn't seem to have any geographical boundaries.
Fans are very, very kind to us everywhere we go. They bring Eddie M&Ms, they bring us little love gifts. They stand there for hours asking for autographs. They really make us feel welcome.
What about next year?
We're going to try to do pretty much the same thing. We'd obviously like to repeat. We're going to run the same car and, of course, the same crew, same engine combination, same clutch setup and all. We're going to have a new tractor-trailer deal. We're going to be better financed. We're going to have more parts, but we're going to try not to change our game plan.
Are we going to keep the same driver?
Give the driver another shot, yeah.
Got an option on your
We'll
driver. It's really a family, the four musketeers, Fuzzy and Jenny, Eddie and Ercie.
It is.
Well,
You eat together, you play together, you race together.
They live in our house when they're in Wichita Falls. In fact, the other two crew members, Lonnie and Gary, live right next door, and we're pretty much just like a big family.
All right, good news for the Hills in '94, but along the way in '93, some decidedly cockeyed things happened. Here's Bob Fry.
After such a stunning year of top fuel racing, I've got an armful of statuettes, so here goes. The winner of the My Car is Faster Than Your Airplane award goes to Scott Coletta for his 308-mile-per-hour blast at Topeka. Scotty also gets the Ma Bell cell phone prize for making a beeline to phone home after that first national win. The Doctor, I've got red spots in front of my eyes winner is Corey McClenathan, who set a dubious top fuel record by fouling out 5 times during the year. Corey is also the co-winner, along with the ace of the How Many Macs Can You Pack on the Track trophy, for whenever the McClenathan Mac Attack machine met up with the McCullough McDonald's dragster. Wow. Can you say McTongue Twister? The competition for the Wildest Helmet Design Award was hot and heavy between McCullough, Andy Woods, and eventual winner Tommy Johnson, whose headgear looked like, well, it looked like it was actually rejected by Steve Johnson. And we all know what kind of taste Steve has in helmets. Woods is also one of the winners of the Mariachi Band Musical Chairs Prize, as he, John Andretti, and Doug Foxworth all shared driving chores for the Taco Bell car. Along those same lines, Frank Suitcase Bradley gets a tip of the Bobby for having crew chief 2 different drivers into the 300-mile-an-hour club. Pat Austin at Atlanta, Del Worsham in Topeka. And finally, honorary AARP memberships go out to the entire 50-something contingent of the top fuel racers who prove once and for all that old is definitely not slow.
Fry, he's berserk, but I love the Bobbies every year.
They're really great.
isn't that neat?
You guys have been great. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
For all of us here at NHRA Today, I'm Steve Evans. See you then.
NHRA Today is a presentation of Diamond B Sports.